everyone, and thank you for joining today's Tuesday Talks webinar. My name is Susan Brown, the Associate Director of Parent and Family Programs. It is our pleasure to be hosting a webinar on today's topic, Achievable Global Experiences at Northeastern. Today, you'll be hearing from Ann McDonald, Assistant Director for Global Experience Advising in the Global Experience Office. So Ann will give a presentation, and then following our presentation, we will take some questions in the Q&A pod that is located on the right-hand side. So let's get started. Ann, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk about the different opportunities that are available to students and let our parents know about them. I know they all look forward to hearing about them, so I'll turn it over to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Again, my name is Ann McDonald. I joined Northeastern University in September of this year on the advising team, and I have been working in international education for just about 13 years now. So this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and I particularly enjoy speaking with parents, family members, friends, and loved ones about the ways in which they can really be involved in creating this opportunity for their students. We at Northeastern believe very strongly in the importance and the impact of global experiences, and the university has really tried to create as many pathways for students to be able to participate in this as possible. So I'm really excited to share some of that with you today and to see how we may be able to help make this experience a possibility for your students. So we'll first start by looking at what the program opportunities are year-round and why you might want to consider a global new term. We'll look at the affordability of global programs and hopefully dispel some of the myths around this. We'll talk about the value of forward planning. So although I will be speaking about some of the opportunities that are still available for summer and fall, I do want to stress the importance of thinking spring. We'll talk about how parents and loved ones can get involved in the process and be really instrumental to the success of their students. And then I want to underscore that it's not too late. So we'll look at some of those upcoming deadlines. And finally, we'll end with a question and answer section. And any questions that I can't necessarily respond to specifically today, I'm happy to follow up on and would certainly continue to encourage you to engage with our office on these topics. So what is the Global Experience Office? Well, we refer to the Global Experience Office as GEO, and it is an office through Northeastern University that works solely with the programming in which students can participate to go outside of the university campus and to study or partake in some type of international experiential programming throughout their time at Northeastern. There are many different ways in which students can engage with our office, from meeting with a peer advisor to hear firsthand from a student who has returned from their own global experience and can speak to how to best navigate the global opportunities available through Northeastern, to dedicated advisors who are experts in their particular regions and can help students to navigate application processes, to understand what the next steps of the process will be, and to assist them as they're first starting to prepare for their global experiences up until the time that they return home and may consider going abroad again optimally. In addition to coming into our office, and we'll share some of the details about how to find us on campus, we are consistently offering programming throughout the year to help students engage with the idea of studying abroad in any number of ways, from the initial stages of planning to considering what it means to develop out a budget to be able to participate on a global experience, to very specific info sessions offered by some of our university partners in which students can come in and hear directly from a university official about the benefits of going through their particular program experience. Here I've listed some of the advisors that students can meet with through the Global Experience Office. And as I mentioned previously, each advisor does have their own dedicated region. So we encourage students to start to first come in and look at the different program opportunities with our peer advisors, and then set up an appointment with the advisor for the region in which they're looking to study so that they can make sure they're navigating the ins and outs of that particular application process and being fully knowledgeable of what the next steps might be. So let's talk a little bit about the program opportunities available throughout the year. Like so many universities, Northeastern offers a very robust programming in study abroad. And many of us know study abroad as the opportunity to spend a semester or a summer studying at either another university in a different global location, or studying through a program provider who may work with the university or may actually have their own center of study in a particular city or location where they have hired the faculty to instruct coursework that befits the needs of their particular students. Study abroad is growing increasingly popular in the United States amongst U.S. university students, and it really has been demonstrated to give students a unique vantage in terms of how they're building out their learning and coming to better understand some of the topics that they're engaging with at their local university. Northeastern works with many different partners internationally to be able to offer study abroad programming to students, and we'll be looking at some of those in some future slides. Northeastern is also quite unique in its Dialogue of Civilizations program, which is renowned programming that provides faculty from Northeastern to lead groups of students to study particular topics in locations that they feel will better engage with the particular subject that they're instructing on. Faculty are working with our office to develop out these programs. The subject matter is usually quite unique and very exciting in terms of the ways in which students can engage with these subjects in a new location. And we have nearly 80 programs of outbound Dialogue of Civilization faculty-led programs this coming summer. Over 1,400 students are projected to be participating in this programming this summer, and many students will go on multiple dialogues throughout their time at Northeastern. It's a great way to really develop more passion in terms of a topic, to get to better understand the relationship between the location that the faculty has chosen and the subject of study, and to study as a cohort of Northeastern students. Students can participate in global co-op opportunities, which if you're already familiar with the general co-op program at Northeastern University, this is taking it internationally. So this is the opportunity to do a co-op in another country and to further engage with not only the development of those professional skills that are so critical to the co-op program, but to do those in a new location and in a new setting, which may engage students in a unique cultural way and help to further expand upon those already invaluable skills that they've developed through the co-op program here at Northeastern. And also our embedded programs. You may hear about a student who is considering taking a course in the spring or the fall that actually has them traveling to another country, perhaps during spring break or before the start of the fall semester. This is an opportunity for faculty to build in short-term study abroad programming, usually about 1 week to 10 days, that helps to further build out the subject matter that they're learning within the classroom at Northeastern by adding in this exploration in a new location. So for example, going on a program or participating in a course that takes them on a short-term program to study the subject matter in a more in-depth capacity in Ecuador or in Cuba or wherever it might be that this coursework has embedded this type of travel into their programming. So as you can see, there are a variety of ways in which students can engage in global programs, and this is why we see so many students at Northeastern actually participating on multiple global opportunities during their time here, something about which we are quite excited. I do want to focus more on traditional programs today, however, and part of the reason for this is we often hear students coming into our office and asking, can I just go on a study abroad program this summer? Our Dialogue of Civilizations deadline has actually just passed for the summer programs, and so some students are still wondering whether or not it's possible for them to be able to participate in a global experience this summer. And the great news is, yes, it is very possible. So the traditional programs, which I spoke about earlier, are opportunities for students to be earning Northeastern credits at a university abroad. So although students may be studying at an institution in Paris or in Cape Town or in Seoul, they will actually be getting Northeastern credits for the time that they're spending at these different campuses as long as they're going through the Global Experience Office on an approved Northeastern program. Semester programs will typically be approximately 4 to 5 months, and many students will bring back anywhere from 12 to 16 credit hours, taking in anywhere from 3 to 5 courses, although they can learn more about the specific number of courses that they'll need to take through the GEO website. In the summer, students can participate in Summer 1 or Summer 2 session programs or full summer for typically 1 to 2 months, earning anywhere from 6 to 8 credits and taking usually around 2 courses, maybe 3 courses, depending on the credit model of the particular institution. Because of this, it's a great opportunity for students who are perhaps looking at participating in a global experience for a shorter period of time to still be able to take advantage of this and return with a reasonable amount of credit for their time abroad. Students will be paying Northeastern University tuition for the academic costs of these programs, and because of this, they may find that their financial aid, some of it, will apply towards the cost of their program. To that end, we encourage students to meet with Student Financial Services early on to make sure that they're fully aware of the possibilities to be able to utilize their financial aid awards and packages in terms of this. Students will also be personally responsible for the cost of housing and any additional program costs, but we'll talk a little bit more about this when we look more closely at affordability later on, because I want to underscore how this can in fact be a more cost-effective option for students and not necessarily always a more expensive option for students. Many of our programs do offer courses available in English, so although you will find that there are incredible opportunities offered all over the world in countries where English may not be the primary language spoken, many universities will still offer coursework in English so that even if a student doesn't have a very high level of proficiency in another language, it can be an opportunity for them to still study there. It's also a great way to start to build further proficiency in additional languages if that is also a point of interest. Some of the universities and programs with which we partner include ASA at the Universidad San Ignacio de Loyola in Cusco, Peru. ASA is an example of a program provider with which we work to offer students dedicated experiences in different locations. Yonsei University in Seoul, South Korea, John Cabot University in Rome, Italy, CIE at University of Ghana in Legon, Ghana, and University of Sydney in Sydney, Australia. Again, these are only just some samples of the universities that host Northeastern students on global programs, and we encourage students to come into our office to be able to explore the full realm of possibilities based on what their goals are. In addition to some of these international experiences that we offer to students, students are also able to take advantage of the globality of the Northeastern campus through our office as well. I did want to highlight some of the unique opportunities that are available as a result of the global network that Northeastern offers within its own campus structure. This past spring, we launched the first iteration of the Data Ethics and Culture program in the spring semester at the New College of Humanities in London, England. This was a very unique opportunity for students to explore through coursework some of President Aoun's philosophy around creating students who are quote-unquote robot-proof. So how can they take their understanding of data ethics and the intersection of that with culture and ensure that they are preparing themselves to be as effective in the workplace as possible? We were very excited by the launch of this program and hope that it creates more opportunities for students to come. We also wanted to highlight Semester In, which is an opportunity for students to engage in coursework in the San Francisco Bay Area campus or the Seattle campus, looking at different topics year-round in which students may be able to spend a semester or a summer in one of these regional campuses as well. These provide really exciting opportunities for students to still be very much a part of the Northeastern network, but to have a different perspective with regards to the way in which they're participating in their studies. I also wanted to, again, highlight the idea of doing the global new term. So if you are looking at participating in new term this summer, you may want to consider doing that internationally. So many of our program partners do offer Summer 1 programs that coincide with the dates for new term, which is the Summer 1 session following students' first year at Northeastern. So it's a great way for students to get ahead in terms of earning their credits. There are programs that are major and minor specific, so students can search for program opportunities based on the goals that they have for the coursework within which they're engaging. They may be able to apply their financial aid towards the program costs. And depending on the type of program support that they're looking for, we may be able to identify different levels of program support. So for example, participating in a program that's led by a provider, which may have additional dedicated staff on the ground to support students through the program experience, as well as direct enroll opportunities that very closely engage them with the university officials who are facilitating the program and gives a bit of a more independent experience for students. So why study abroad? Well, I think that there are many reasons that go well beyond this slide to underscore the value of studying abroad and that really demonstrate that it does not have to be an extra to a student's academic experience in college, but should be a deeply embedded part of their experience while in college. But the first I would say is the practicality of being able to earn Northeastern University credit. The university has set itself up quite well in terms of being able to facilitate the transfer of credit for students by ensuring that students are earning Northeastern credit for their time rather than having to consider how they're going to be able to effectively transfer back credit from another institution. This is actually one of the most complicated parts of the process at many other universities, and so this creates a level of facility of which students can take advantage. This also underscores the next point about the application of financial aid. Students are able to apply some of and sometimes additionally apply for scholarships towards their global experiences to make the entire experience more achievable and more affordable than they may initially realize. Many students have high concerns about the costs associated with study abroad, and while there can be additional costs associated with study abroad, there are also ways to make it more affordable and thus more achievable for students. It gives students the opportunity to meet others from all over the world, and this is something in which we already take pride at Northeastern University's campus, in that we do welcome students from so many other parts of the United States and so many other parts of the world, but it allows students to perhaps expand that perspective even further and to be studying in an environment that can help to deepen and challenge some of their perspectives in a way that really facilitates learning. I found that many students have a unique perspective on learning and around participating in their studies once returning home from a global experience. I've seen many students become more excited by the prospects of learning and what is possible for them to learn, developing a new level of curiosity. And I really believe in the way in which this can reshape their approach to their entire academic experience going forward. Studying abroad, participating in global co-op, going on a dialogue, provides students with the opportunity to build out their resumes, to be able to point to some of the experiences in which they participated, and also hopefully effectively articulate the way in which those experiences shaped and challenged them so that they're able to bring what we would consider to be transferable skills from their global experiences into the workplace and be able to connect with prospective employers or prospective interviewers for graduate programs with regards to this. I'm a big believer in the learning and practice of additional languages, and language acquisition is certainly one prospective outcome that students have from participating in global experiences. And I think it can be one of the richest opportunities for students who are very focused on furthering their ability to speak another or write another language to do so within a global setting. And then finally, further developing and deepening the global perspective that they're already formulating here at Northeastern University as well. Having a global experience is something in which the university, again, truly believes, and taking advantage of this will help to deepen that perspective further. So what is the eligibility for students to study abroad? So they must have completed 2 terms at Northeastern University, one of which may be a summer term. For transfer students and students who have been admitted in the spring or coming in from NUN, we encourage them to touch base with our office in terms of their eligibility. We can work with them to identify for what programs they may have eligibility and make sure that we're working through any requirements carefully with them. GPA and language requirements will vary by program, but most programs do require a minimum GPA of 2.5. We do a conduct check with every student who is considering a study abroad program, and so they must be in good standing with the university through our Office of Student Conduct. And then finally, a zero balance on their NU account of non-study abroad charges prior to departure. If students have questions about eligibility, however, or concerns, we would again strongly encourage them to come into our office to be able to work with us to overcome any of those challenges. For traditional summer programs, what students would be considering for the cost of participation would be typically Northeastern University tuition for a summer program would be half credit, so 8 credits, rather than unless you're doing a full summer, in which case you may be able to find a 12-credit program. All students will pay a $100 fee for the international security and emergency support through Northeastern. And then additionally, they would be independently responsible for the cost of flights, housing, as well as any deposits, lab fees, phone and internet costs, visa fees, books, and spending money. So considering the cost of living overall is important because many times if a student's considering a global experience versus staying in Boston for a summer term, it may be that the cost of living is actually considerably lower in the location of study that to which they are applying. And so that can really help to create more affordability for students who are perhaps on the fence about whether or not this is something that's going to be financially achievable for them. Again, similarly for semester programs, in the 4 or 5 month period that they'll be spending during a semester program, they'll be responsible for Northeastern tuition, again, the international security and emergency support fee, and the same additional costs that we highlighted before. Not only should you consider the differences in cost of living, but also the power of the exchange rate. So is the location that the student's considering one in which they may actually be able to find that the currency that they're using is going to go further than it would if they were remaining on campus for the semester. We offer scholarships through our office for both Dialogue of Civilization programs as well as traditional study abroad programs. Students can apply for grants, scholarships, as well as fellowships in which they would be engaging in providing us with blog entries, video entries, and photo journals. This is a great way to combine not only earning a scholarship with the professional experience of creating content for our website. So that is something to which students can really speak on their resumes and in prospective job opportunities as well. Scholarships are merit-based and our grants are need-based. So we encourage students to apply for as many as they believe they qualify in order to achieve the maximum level of need. Honors college students also have unique scholarship opportunities available to them, and we encourage them to make sure that they're speaking with their advisors through the Honors College to ensure that they're aware of the full range of those. But this is something that we would strongly encourage students to further consider, as it may particularly assist with the financial concerns or constraints that a student may have around study. In addition to this, I would also encourage all students to explore the external scholarships. There are a variety of external scholarships, some of which may be offered through the program provider that the student is considering, some of which may be offered through the university through which the student is studying. Some universities offer competitive scholarships for students from other universities to increase their international student participation and base. As well as scholarships such as the Gilman Award, which is available to Pell Grant recipients, the Boren Award, which is another government-based scholarship for which students can apply who are looking at perhaps studying critical languages and ensuring that they may be able to participate further with activities surrounding the utilization of those once they return from their program. Some students may be able to find scholarship opportunities through the Rotary Club within their town. There are a number of external scholarship opportunities for which students can apply, and by starting the process earlier, they can really maximize their awareness and the time of application for those. I also want to take this opportunity to underscore a concern that may not necessarily be initially on the mind of the student, but is likely on the minds of anyone who is participating in this particular webinar relative to the health, safety, and well-being of students on global experiences. It is always top priority for Northeastern and top priority for anyone within the student's life that their time abroad is positive, is healthy, and safe, and that students are able to achieve a maximum level of well-being during their experience. One of the key aspects of the services offered through the Global Experience Office is the type of advising and orientation that they receive as they are preparing to go on a global experience. In addition to the work that they're doing with their advisors, all students will participate in an in-depth pre-departure orientation that explores a variety of topics to help students to be aware of the resources available to them and some of the challenges they might face while they are abroad and how they can prepare for these. We also facilitate health and safety orientations for our faculty who are leading the faculty-led programs, the Dialogues of Civilization that we spoke about earlier. So ensuring that all individuals representing Northeastern are effectively trained in a preparation for these experiences. We collaborate with a number of offices across campus to ensure that we are all working together in support of Northeastern students no matter where they are in the world. This can include WeCare, the Office of Global Services, and Public Safety Collaboration. Northeastern guidelines and requirements are maintained for students no matter where they are in the world. So we maintain the same expectation of student conduct and behavior whether they are on campus or whether they are off campus. And this is communicated to them with the understanding that these guidelines have been established to, again, maximize their well-being. We partner with WorldAware, which is a service that provides support to students no matter where they might be in the world when they're on a global experience, and a hotline that they can call 24/7 to be able to access immediate support if they are finding themselves in an emergency situation and need to know where the nearest hospital is, need to know how they can contact the university after hours, whatever it might be. WorldAware is there to be able to provide students with additional assistance and support. We collaborate with the University Health and Counseling Services, the Disability Resource Center, the Office for Gender Equity and Compliance, or Title IX, to ensure that we are all working together to prepare and keep the expectations that we have for the Northeastern University student experience here on the Boston campus as widely applied no matter where they might be in the world as possible. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming events and deadlines. So first and foremost, if you are in contact with your student, encourage them to come by the Global Program Showcase today, February 19th, Tuesday, in McLeod Suites at the Curry Student Center. This will be from 6 to 8 p.m. This is a great opportunity for students who want to learn more about the different types of programs that exist to come by, to meet with returned students, to meet with staff from the Global Experience Office, and to start to do some of that initial planning to look at what possibilities may exist for them. March 1st is our summer program deadline, and I do want to highlight that March 1st is the Northeastern University deadline, but some of our partner institutions do have deadlines that are earlier than this. So there are programs that have already closed. And this is for our traditional study abroad programs. As I mentioned earlier, the deadlines for our Dialogues of Civilization have actually already passed. The first deadline was January 15th, and the extended deadline of February 15th passed this past weekend. For students who are considering spending a fall semester abroad, April 1st will be the deadline for fall programs. So again, we encourage students to come into our office and to start meeting with us and talking to us about these opportunities as soon as possible so that we can work to get their application into the system. We are constantly running events for students, however, and so we would encourage you to check out northeastern.edu/geo to make sure that you are aware of the range of these events and to encourage your students to stop by if they've already mentioned an interest in going on a global experience at some point during their time at Northeastern. So I mentioned earlier the importance of planning ahead this summer. We want to encourage students to take advantage of these opportunities that are still available for summer 2019 and fall 2019, and would encourage students to know that even though it's February 19th, there are still time and opportunities to get into the application system for this upcoming summer. But for students who want to take some more time to plan, now and this summer really will provide them with a valuable time to start to do so. So what are the first steps? Well, we encourage students to review the program options. And if students are interested in going on one of the Dialogues of Civilization, although these are not yet listed for summer 2020, faculty are just in the application stages now for proposing their programs, it's a great idea for students to review some of the programs that were available this past summer. Although we can't guarantee that every program will be offered every year, there are many programs that have run repeatedly for the last few years, and this can start to give them a bit of a taste of what may be out there in terms of the dialogues in which they want to participate. Check out social media. So make sure to check out GEO on social media, but also take advantage of the fact that many partner universities have their own social media sites. This can be a great opportunity to review different programs and use technology to make a decision. What are you seeing in terms of the way in which the campus is depicted? What is the engagement of students in terms of their social media pages? Can this help to inform or excite or draw further interest into any of the locations that perhaps the student wasn't initially considering? Look into your degree progress. So we encourage students to plan to meet with their academic advisors as soon as they are considering going on a global experience. Even if you're not certain about it, start to have that conversation to see how you might be able to work it into your degree progress. It is a lot easier with forward planning and early planning to create program participation with some flexibility than to have a limited number of courses that you can participate in order to be able to stay on track with your degree progress. Make a plan to meet with an advisor, both your academic advisor as well as a GEO advisor once you've started to narrow down your program location. Review the costs associated with the program. So although Northeastern tuition is something that we can establish as fairly standard in terms of the program costs, it's a good idea to be aware of what additional costs there might be, what is included within the program fees that a student may be paying to university or to a program provider directly, and what else should they be considering budgeting for in preparation for their program participation. Look into scholarship opportunities, and the earlier you start to explore these, the better. For starters, it gives students an opportunity to begin to work on scholarship essays and to really get a head start on submitting those so that they're not necessarily missing any deadlines. Many students will be discouraged by applying for scholarships that they may consider to be a lower amount and therefore not as worthwhile, but we encourage students to consider that really any amount of funding is going to be money that they would not have otherwise had when applying for a global experience. So even $250 may go towards covering the cost of a visa or for a passport if a student doesn't already have one. We would encourage students to identify relevant GEO info sessions, so to keep an eye on the programming that's offered through the Global Experience Office. If a representative from a university that they would like to study at is going to be on campus, or if a GEO advisor is hosting an info session on a particular program, we would encourage them to come by and check it out. We also offer a number of regional programming opportunities for students who may know the region in which they want to study but not be sure of the program yet. This is another great way for students to be able to hear from the experiences of past participants to help to shape their own ideas about the program in which they may want to participate going forward. And finally, start to make a plan around Boston residence. So consider what your obligations are in terms of your housing for the upcoming semesters, whether you're in a dorm, apartment rental, or what other means of housing in which your student may be living, so that they're aware of what dates and deadlines they may need to work within to communicate with the relevant stakeholders in terms of this. So how can friends, family members, and loved ones get involved? Well, we encourage anyone involved in a student's life to talk to the student about their options, ask questions. Sometimes it really helps a student to be able to bounce what they're thinking of off of another individual who can just offer non-biased advice in certain situations. We also want you to empower student initiative. It's always great to hear that a family member is really engaged with a student's interest in a particular program and trying to support them through the process. But the initiative that a student takes in these program experiences can also be very important and critical to their own understanding of what they're getting involved in as they prepare for global experiences, and can also be a great opportunity for them to go through the process of completing perhaps a more complex application for a global experience in another country or applying for a particular type of visa. We'd encourage you to check in on their progress, checking in with the student rather than with our office, just because of the limitations in terms of what we can communicate around a student's application. But give them the boost that they need in terms of getting everything done within the necessary timeline. Sometimes these timelines can really sneak up on students. The deadlines for programs approach more rapidly than they're expecting, and the extra nudge to remind them to just complete that final form that's required for the application can be the difference between a student submitting an application on time versus submitting an application later. An area where friends, family members, and loved ones can give a great level of guidance is often on budget management. So for students who have perhaps not lived independently before, or for students who are going to have to be working within a more rigid budget during their program experience abroad, looking at how to establish that budget and ways in which they can track their ability to work within this can be a great way in which they can take advantage of the experience and expertise of others within their lives. For some students, their experience will consist of doing an internship or a global co-op in another country, and so having an opportunity to practice interviewing with someone can be really, really helpful for them as well as they're preparing to get out there and get into the professional world in a totally new environment. Take an interest in their location of study. Get excited about it. I think having people around students who are excited about what they may be doing helps to keep them on track with being focused and excited about what they will be doing as well. And finally, get or renew your passport. It may be that you have no intention of traveling over to the location where your student's going to be studying, but we do think it's a really good idea for parents and loved ones to be able to have access to this in the event of your own interest in traveling over there, as well as in the event of an emergency, so that you've got access to that right away should you need to travel to the country for any reason. So some of the services and resources that are available to all students on Global Experiences by merit of being Northeastern students include the resource of WorldAware, which I discussed earlier, the consistent access to their GEO advisor, both prior to and during their time abroad. We Care, which works exclusively at Northeastern to be able to connect students to the various offices and resources that they may need to work through an emergency situation or through a more challenging issue on campus. University Health and Counseling Services, the DRC on campus, and again, the Office for Gender Equity and Compliance, or Title IX. So I just want to underscore that although students may be in another location, that we do want to ensure that the resources available to them here are really extending in whatever capacity possible. While abroad, students will also find that they have new layers of networks of resources available to them. Many of our host institutions have their own global offices. So just as we have a global office at Northeastern, so too do many of our university partners who are setting up programming, who are engaged in crisis management, in student support and care, and orienting them to the university and to their campus. So it is not to say that a student is being dropped off in another location, so to speak, in any way, shape, or form. Rather, there is a continuation of care and a desire to ensure that students are having as successful a semester or summer experience at a new location as they may be having here. The Northeastern University Network, which I referred to previously, the WorldAware access that they will have will be instrumental to them during their time abroad. I think it's important to underscore that for students going on Dialogues of Civilizations, or DOC programs, that the faculty are Northeastern faculty. So this is a real representation of the university in these particular program models. The Global Experience team is always available as a resource for a student if they are having questions or concerns during their time abroad. And ultimately, we want to underscore that the Northeastern campus is still very much the community in which the student is ultimately studying and enrolled as a student, and so they are not cut off from this by merit of going on a global experience. So before we get into the question and answer section, I do just want to make sure that you're aware where our office is so that you can encourage your student to stop by and visit us as well. We're located in 411 Richards Hall. We're right across from the Northeastern T-stop on the Green Line, so we're super easy to get to. You can give us a call at 617-373-5276. We also have office hours Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. So if your student's on co-op or perhaps really busy throughout the day, they can still stop by the office and meet with a peer advisor or set up a meeting with a GEO advisor later on, as well as office hours from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Fridays, so that students can stop by on a Friday too if that is better for them. We'd encourage you to bookmark the GEO website and to make sure that you're checking us out on social media. We're constantly doing new things that we think are really fun and exciting and that we hope that you can take advantage of as well.
Thank you, Ann. That was a lot of information. I think Pam found that very informative. As I mentioned earlier, we will begin taking questions now. If you type your questions into the Q&A pod on the right-hand side of the screen, we will try to get to as many questions as possible with the time we have remaining. So we have a question. Do the majority of students travel abroad in their second, third, or fourth year? Do you tend to see an increase in a certain year? Or?
You know, I think traditionally we would have said third year would have been a very common year for students to go abroad. But I think not only at Northeastern but at many other universities, we're starting to see students going earlier and starting earlier. So we're seeing more and more students who are actually looking at participating in a program during the first summer after their time at Northeastern. We've actually also just introduced new programming called Global Quest, which is available to second semester first year students. And I'd encourage students to start to explore their options earlier because it can be easier to fit in the earlier on that they look into it, and it may open the door for second and third global experiences for them as well.
That's true. Yeah. We have a question. Our daughter is in the three C's program, which includes classes in Panama this fall. Are there global scholarships available? And if so, what amount? I know you've talked a lot about there are different scholarships, about $1,000.
Yeah, so students, the fall applications for scholarships, I believe, have not quite opened yet. The deadline for fall scholarships, I think, is March 1st, but if you check out, or sorry, not closed quite yet, if you check out the GEO website and you go to the scholarships section, which is under the finances section of the study abroad section on the website, it will talk more about the amount of the scholarships as well as the deadlines within which students can apply. And I would absolutely encourage students to go ahead and to go apply for the scholarship or the grant opportunities through that as well.
That was a great opportunity. You offered them too to like $1,500 to do a student blog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's great, and we love reading them too. So
I was going to say other parents would like to see them too. Two questions actually about the London School. My son is considering going to London School of Economics this summer. Does he need a visa and special health insurance? I don't know if you know the answer about that.
So I would say I think with any type of visa guidance or support, I'd encourage him to be in contact with his study abroad advisor. So that's going to be Jeff Sullivan, as well as in terms of any requirements that are specific to the health insurance. I wish I could say I knew all of that offhand for all of our programs, but I want to make sure with a question that is that sensitive that he's getting very specific guidance from the advisor.
And I have a feeling this might be the same case. Someone's asking, do they offer a master's in law degree? Will they be offering that at some point in the future? And,
through London School of Economics? I'm afraid I'm not sure at this point in time. Yeah.
All right.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, maybe you could talk a little bit about the global co-op, and is the process the same as applying for a co-op in Boston or New York City?
Sure, yes. So the global co-op program, there's a number of ways that students can identify a global co-op experience. Some students will create their own global co-op experiences. So they may have independently researched and found a company that's, just like they would find a co-op here, that they're interested in applying to and that they're able to set up a global co-op with. But students can also access lists of previous co-ops and apply through the same system that they could use to look for co-ops in Boston. They should also be able to use to look for co-ops in other locations. Now, I will say with global co-ops, there can be additional layers of complexity into things like the visa process, as well as with the development of new co-op opportunities, if there are any sort of agreements that the co-op wants the student to sign, or again, any additional layers of complexity. For that reason, we do encourage students to start to review their options for global co-op and to get started on that process as soon as possible. They will then go and actually complete a global co-op application through our system where they can identify where their global co-op is, what they're doing, request any type of visa support or guidance that we can offer through our office. And again, working closely with their co-op coordinators to make sure that they're on progress with everything that they need to do.
I was just going to ask you that. So if I'm a student and I'm applying for an international co-op, would I work with my advisor first?
I would say speak with your co-op coordinator first and foremost. You will be working with the Global Experience Office, but the co-op coordinator is going to be able to work more closely with the student on the very particular aspects of the organization itself and what they may need to do in terms of being within the co-op system, if that makes sense. So, but once the student does get started on the process of filling out the co-op application, then the advisor for their particular region in which they're doing the co-op will work with them as it relates to any guidance for additional visa support.
This is actually an interesting question. Parents asking that their son or daughter doesn't say, but she's concerned about their transitioning to another country. And is it possible for students to talk to other students who have been at a location?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we actually have, in addition to the peer advisors, we have ambassadors. The peer advisors are in our office all the time. So, it may be that a peer advisor is actually an alum of the location that a student's considering. But if a peer advisor is not, we can look into connecting the student with a student ambassador through Northeastern. And we're always happy to connect students with previous students or return students from particular programs too. Also, if you check out the Student Voices section for any given program on our website, if a student has blogged or vlogged or participated in a fellowship previously, those experiences will be captured through that Student Voices section too. So it can be another way to learn a little bit more about the student experience.
You talked about the program tonight in the Courage Student Center. We have a question. Will there be advisors there for students to talk to?
So I will be there, and our outreach coordinator will be there, and our peer advisors will be there. We have advisors are holding office hours throughout the week, so we'd encourage students to go by and to speak with the advisors during some of their office hours over the next week.
So if a student wanted to take advantage of this summer, 2019,
Yep.
would there be opportunities for someone to talk with them
Yeah,
tonight
absolutely.
about that? Okay, great. Oh, that sounds good. Looks like there are no more questions. I think that's because you gave a lot of information, Ann.
Wonderful.
Again, I do want to thank Ann for her time. If you do decide that you have a question, please feel free to email me at parents@northeastern.edu, and I'll be sure to forward that on to Ann, and she'll be happy to assist you with that. Thank you again to Ann, and thank you for everyone for joining us today. Shortly, you'll be asked to complete a brief survey to provide feedback on today's session, as well as share any future topics that you would like to see us talk about. Next week, we will be doing a Tuesday talk on NU term, which will be on February 26th at 12 to 1 Eastern Standard Time. We hope you'll be able to join us. If for some reason you can't join us during that time, we will be recording that session, and we will put that up on our website too. Again, thank you so much for Ian, and thank you for everybody for joining us today. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you.